Good morning to our Professor Dr. Madrid as well as my classmates. Today I am going to discuss about the historical dimension of Japan English. So the source of my report is from The Origin and Development of Asia Englishes by Bokmyong Chang, English Department of Namsul University in Korea. The content of the study is first one is to trace the dispersal of English from the 18th century and the development of English in Asian countries. The second one is to explain the development and characteristics of English language education policies in Asian countries. The third one is to emphasize the important role of English education. And the last is the future of English language education in Asian countries. What are the aims of this particular study? The history of English language in Asian countries is very important to understand the characteristics of English language education comparing with those of the countries which belongs to the inner circle. The information of historical background for Asian Englishes is very important to set up the roles of English language education in the Asian context. And we also have the historical survey on the development of English education is very important for defining the roles of English language education and giving the directions for English education in the future. We go now to the historical dimension of Japan English. So first, the first contact with English for Japanese people was in 1600 when a British navigator who worked for the Dutch merchant fleet was cast ashore in Cusa Island. In 1808, the Dijima Dutch trading post in Nagasaki was attacked from the Great Britain, and after the attack, the Tokugawa government ordered all the official Dutch interpreters to learn English and Russian. This was the first start of English education in Japan. In 1853, U.S. Navy Commodore Matthew Perry and his ships came to Oraga, Tokyo Bay. And in 1858, American-Japanese Treaty of Amity was concluded, and by this time, English had replaced Dutch as the main foreign language in Japan. In the early Meiji era, English education reached its peak. At that time, English was taught with two different approaches. One is to teach English through native speakers, and the other one is to teach English Japanese translation by Japanese teachers. Now we go to this significant period in the Japanese era. In Taisho era, opposition to English education came to the surface because at that time, English was thought to be troublesome to learn and useless in everyday life. Then the Ministry of Education hired Harold E. Palmer to Japan in 1922 as an advisor for English education. Right before the Second World War, English education declined rapidly. After the Second World War, English education boom reached another peak again. And in 1947, the 6-3 system of compulsory education was inaugurated, and English was first introduced to compulsory education as an elective subject. By 1956, English was assigned as a subject to the entrance examination for all the public senior high schools. In 1989, oral communication was introduced into the high English curriculum, and at that time, English was finally made a compulsory subject in secondary education. In 2002, English was introduced as part of an integrated program and was made a compulsory subject for the 5th and 6th graders in 2008. In 2010, the number of English lessons a week was increased to 4 again, according to Horikoshi of 2010. The Ministry of Education, Culture, Sports, Science and Technology, or what they call MEXT, announced its proposal of a plan for communicative competence in English. And in the following year, the plan was put into action. New goals was set for people teaching English, for English to be taught in English, for improving the teaching skills of teachers, and for supporting English education at elementary schools. Now we go to the roles of English language. So in this particular one, the importance of non-native interactions in Asian context, one role of English language education in Asian countries is to recognize the importance of non-native speakers' interactions in communicating through English, to encourage their interactions, and to create the environment to activate their interactions in daily lives in the globalized world. The second one, role, bidirectionality, to communicate in globalized world. The purpose of English language education in Asian countries is to emphasize the bidirectionality in communicating among native speakers and non-native speakers in globalized world. And the third role, English language teachers, non-native speakers of English, is the another purpose of English language education in Asia is to acknowledge and the effectiveness of non-native speaker teachers in teaching English in Asian countries and cultivate good non-native English-speaking teachers who are well qualified for teaching English in each country. Now we go to the conclusions of the study. So here we have the first role is to establish the identity of each cultural and ethnic group by using both English and each group's mother tongues in Asian context. And we have the other is that English plays a role as a window to the world. In this process, to open the window to the world, Asian Englishes can play the important roles like to teach English as a way of speeding up national development, to teach English as a way of understanding other cultures, and to teach English as a tool of international communication in the globalized world. The number of the people who speak English as a second foreign language in Asian countries is increasing very rapidly. So the Asian English plays a very important role in the globalized world. So let us discuss the transitions and the challenges of Japan English. The reference source is the English Language Education in Japan, Transitions and Challenges by Yukiko Hosuke. So we have it here, the organization, the curricula, and the issues in their present educational system. So first, we have the organization. The Japanese education system was reformed after World War II. The present system is similar to the American system, which is 6334 system, and the length of compulsory education is 9 years from elementary through junior high school. Nearly 100% of children are enrolled in compulsory education. High school is not compulsory, but the enrollment rate has been growing, and in 2008, the rate of enrollment was 97.8%, and the enrollment rate in universities and junior colleges was 51.5%, according to the Ministry of Education 2008 pages 10 to 11. Now we go to the curricula. English language education in public schools starts in the first year of junior high school and continues until the third year of high school, for a total of 6 years. English is one of the elective foreign languages in the curricula of junior high schools. Most universities have an English language sections as part of their entrance examinations. So all the applicants study English very seriously to pass the test. English is emphasized in most university curricula, and almost all students, even non-English majors, have to take English language classes during their first 2 years. The objective of the foreign language courses have been reflection of Japan's national situation. The most recent revision in 2003 emphasizes the importance of communication skills by stating that the overall objectives for junior high school are to develop students' basic practical communication abilities, such as listening and speaking, deepening the understanding of language and culture, and fostering a positive attitude towards communication through foreign languages. The overall objectives for the senior high school are also to develop communication abilities on a higher level. Now we go to the controversial issues. The acquisition of communication skills is one of the most important purposes of learning English in Japan nowadays. However, this has not always been the case. Communicative English skills were not necessarily the means to achieve success in Japanese society. Rather, entrance into a prestigious university was seen as the key to success, and therefore, passing the entrance examination was the main reason to study English, and as a result, reading and writing skills were prioritized over communicative English skills by both students and teachers. In the report, Developing a Strategic Plan to Cultivate by Japanese with English Abilities, according to the Ministry of Education 2002, they pointed out 5 key policies to foster English abilities. Number 1, boosting the motivation of learners. Number 2, improving educational content. Number 3, improving the qualifications of English language instructors and upgrading the teaching system. Number 4, enhancing English conversation activities in elementary schools. And number 5, strengthening mother tongue or Japanese language acquisition. As the report states, making improvements in the qualification of English language teachers and their teaching abilities is important because many of junior and senior high school teachers are more educators than language teachers and do not specialize in teaching English as a foreign language. Now, all those particular things, how are we going to improve in the future? So, it is recommended as the implementation of small classes. English language education in Japanese schools is currently at a crossroads. In line with Ministry of Education's assertion regarding the importance of practical communication abilities in foreign languages, the improvement of the English language curriculum is one of the significant challenges that Japan must address. The following suggestions for improvement by Montero and Iwani of 2005 are commonly considered and supported by many in the field of Japanese English language education. The implementation of small classes. It is very essential to downsize the number of students per class in order to create more effective teaching and learning environment and to specifically cultivate students' communication skills. In a small class, it is much easier for teachers and students to interact with each other under student-centered instruction. The Ministry of Education is currently trying to implement a smaller class size system. And then the second one, the upgrading of the teaching abilities of English language teachers. English language teachers were trained under the traditional teaching style that emphasized grammatical analysis and translations into Japanese. Therefore, many of them do not have a strong background in communicative language teaching. Ministry of Education has employed measures to upgrade the abilities of English language teachers by offering a domestic as well as overseas teacher training. And we also have the JET program, is another controversial issue regarding the effectiveness of language teaching, as it is started with the purpose of increasing mutual understanding between the people of Japan and the people of other countries. The participants are not required to have any teaching experience as part of their qualifications. Improvements to the program are expected, but in the meantime, this system should effectively be used for English language education and opportunities to use practical English with the ALTs or the assistant language teachers could motivate students to learn English. Now we go to the language assessment of Japan. How are they doing it? Or what is the name of the language assessment? So we have what they call ICANN. It's an abbreviation of Jitsuyo Igoji no Kanti, or in English, Test in Practical English Proficiency, one of the most widely used English language testing programs in Japan. It is offered at 7 levels: grade 1, grade pre-1, and grade 2, as well as grade preparatory 2 and grade 3, 4, and 5. The total number of examinees since 1963 exceeds 95 million. ICANN can be used as a language skills certificate for study abroad, as it is recognized in an approximately 400 universities and educational institutions in North America, Australia, and throughout the world. So what are the ICANN grades? There are 7 tests with the ICANN framework. So we have each representing a different ability level. The levels are called grades and are given on a pass or fail basis. Each ICANN grade is a separate test with a unique set of test items and test design for that particular level. So what are the first and second stages? The ICANN grades are given in 2 stages. The first stage is a paper and pencil test that evaluates reading, listening, and writing ability. The second stage is a speaking test in the format of a face-to-face interview. An examinee must pass both stages of a grade in order to receive a certification. And the second stage is not given for the 2 beginner levels, grade 4 and 5. However, from 2016, a new online speaking test where examinees' answers are recorded has been introduced for both grades. So who makes ICANN? ICANN is produced and administered by the ICANN Foundation of Japan, or formerly the Society for Testing English Proficiency Incorporation, a public interest incorporated foundation based in Tokyo. So we go to the rank of Japan in English proficiency. So I'm going to show you this one. So among Asian countries, Singapore ranked highest in 5th place, the Philippines placed 20th, Malaysia 26th, and Hong Kong 33rd. South Korea was 37th and China 40th. All these countries scored higher than Japan. In the first survey conducted in 2011, Japan placed 14th. However, at the time, only 40 countries provided the testing data. As the number of countries gradually increases with each survey, Japan continues to fall in rank. Okay, so indicators have long been present for the Japanese people's comparative lack of English skills. Japan's Ministry of Education continues to launch a number of concrete measures to combat this, including making English compulsory in elementary schools from 2020 and encouraging the use of computers and other IT tools in learning English at schools. In this table, it shows how Japan is falling back with their English proficiency abilities. And we also have, on the another note, according to the World Economic Forum's Global Competitiveness Report 2019, Japan is the sixth most competitive country in the world. If you look at the top 10 countries in both rankings, you will notice right away that there are several countries that overlap between the two rankings, and that Japan is the only country that ranked within the top 10 in the Global Competitiveness Report with low English proficiency. So this ends my report. Thank you for listening to my talk.